What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this episode, of course, it's Team Talk, round 19. Let's get into it. So, we have got a big game coming up. Like I said in my preview for the game, if you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch that. It's going to be a huge game, and with a huge game comes huge changes. Now, we'll talk about our changes. We'll talk about Port Adelaide's changes. We're going to add that into the team talk now because I've got that up and ready to go. So let's touch on Collingwood's changes. Coming into this huge game against the second placed Port Power, Brodie Myercheck, Darcy Cameron. Brodie Myercheck, you can't leave him out of the team. He has he had 2 weeks off, right? So he's been 2 weeks out, and that's probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. That might be the most he's been out consecutively, barring like a bye and then an injury. I think 2 weeks is the most he's been not playing for the team since 2018 when he started, because this guy is an absolute workhorse. Like, we love everything that Brodie Myercheck does. We love how he goes about it. Finally, Dan McStay is back in the team, so he's going to help him. These big two pillars, we only saw maybe 2 to 2.5 rounds of it at the start of the year because, McStay then had to do ruck and stuff like that. But now we finally get to see how these two are going to work going into finals, because I dare say that this best 23 that you're seeing right now, barring any injuries, of course, is probably our first finals team. Maybe if you could chuck Frampton in there for getting rid of one, but we'll talk about that later. But Brodie Myercheck is back, and he's just one of those guys that you know what you're going to get week in, week out. He's going to give you 110% effort every single time, and he's back, and we get the 1-2 punch of Checkers and McStay. The other guy that's back, Darcy Cameron. Touched on him about him in my preview. I said, is it Cox or is it Cameron? They've gone with Cameron, they've gone with Cox, but at the expense of Billy Frampton. So Frampton comes out, Darcy Cameron comes in. I do like what Darcy Cameron can provide as a full-time ruck. Sometimes he drifts back into the back line, takes a good defensive mark. He'll drift into the forward line as well and be that guy there. Probably won't need him too much in the forward line because of who we have in the forward line already with McStay and Checkers. But Darcy Cameron, love how he goes about it. Kind of like Myercheck, you know exactly what you're going to get from him. So coming out of the team, I kind of just touched on it. Billy Frampton comes out of the team. Ash Johnson, unfortunately, comes out of the team. And Oleg Markov comes out of the team, but he will be the sub in our best 23, our named sub. And I kind of guessed that in the preview. I said it was either him or it was going to be Bobby Hill. Turns out it was Markov. So Frampton and AJ are the ones that miss out, and they're the unlikely ones that miss out, right? None of them put a foot wrong. Frampton, he's that versatile. He's that Mr. Fix-It. He's the Play-Doh, as I like to call him. Down back, in the middle, in the ruck, and up forward. Wasn't probably the best forward, but he still got the job done when we needed him. Ash Johnson, though, 6 goals in 2 weeks, and he gets omitted. This is the thing, right? This is the thing when you have pretty much a healthy list to choose out of. And the only real injury we have is Charlie Dean, who wasn't going to be featured anyway, and Will Hoskin-Elliott. People will get cut, as in cut from the team. There will be tough calls made. But unfortunately, you can't win a premiership by just picking your favourites. All you have to do is think back to 2010 when O'Brien and Tarkin Lockyer and all these sort of guys were making way for the Jared Blairs of the world and the Steel Sidebottoms and stuff like that. Prestige Giacomo as well. Every year there's going to be some sort of heartbreak, and it is only against Port, so it's not a big final, and they'll have a chance to bounce back. But you can't pick 30 players in the side of 23. So unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I do reckon, speaking of best 23s and finals, I do reckon that this is our strongest team on paper. This is the strongest team we've definitely fielded all year. Like I said, Frampton is a horse for causes. Is that the saying? Horse for causes, where if we need a big tall defender, put Frampton in, right? He's going to be our guy. If we need a versatile third sort of tall option, you put Ash Johnson in. But then, you can't really run with the Darcy Cameron and the Mason Cox duo. So from here on in, from this Port Adelaide game right up until round, I think it's 24 against Essendon, we're going to be probably, tampering with the team a little bit. Does two ruckmen work in Mason Cox and Darcy Cameron all the time? Do all these tools work? Do we go a little bit smaller? So there will be chopping and changing and a bit of experimenting, but I think that not even round one we had a strong team, but I think this is the strongest team we'll have the strongest team we've had all season, hands down, 100%. And I'm all for this. I give this team and the changes a 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. So now let's quickly touch on Port Adelaide's ins and outs. Going out, Darcy Byrne-Jones injured. Dylan Williams, I really don't know who that guy is. Jackson Mead, I don't know. Jace Burgoyne gets omitted. Ollie Lord gets omitted. And Tom Jonas gets omitted. Tom Jonas, their captain, goes to play in the SANFL. And he hasn't really played a lot. He came in last week because they had all these ins and outs. But he doesn't really play a lot. And so he goes out now, their captain. It's just insane to think. But anyway, coming in, and they've got some really big ins. Willie Rioli comes in. Trent McKenzie, that booming foot of Trent McKenzie. Jason Horne-Francis comes in. Francis Evan, small forward, comes in. And, of course, Charlie Dixon. So they chose to rest a lot of players or injure, whatever you sort of narrative you want to go with. They chose to do that last week to get them ripe and ready for this week. And there's some really, really big ins. Like, look, Jason Horne-Francis, Charlie Dixon, Willie Rioli. Huge ins. Charlie Dixon gave us troubles in round 2. No doubt he's going to give us troubles again. And then you're probably thinking, but, Billy Frampton out. They've just brought Charlie Dean in. How is that going to work? Nathan Murphy, Braden Maynard, Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, all these guys are going to triple team Charlie Dixon sort of thing, over the top and intercept marking. Or, we just try and not let them get the ball to Charlie Dixon. That could be another way of doing it. So this is probably, I haven't really seen their injury list, but I dare say that this is probably Port Adelaide's close to their best side as well. So it's two best sides going up against each other. It's first, second. It is going to be an unreal fight. I love our ins. I love our team. It looks really good. This is a finals preview right now. And I know I forgot to mention it on my preview, but Taylor Adams and Nathan Murphy, Taylor Adams plays his 200th game. Nathan Murphy's played his 50th game. So congratulations to those guys. But they're our ins, they're our outs, they're their ins, they're their outs. This has been Team Talk. Let me know your thoughts down below. How do you rate this team? 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Let me know all your thoughts down below. Who would you have brought in? Who would you have brought out? Let me know. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shaggers. I'll swoop you later.